Next week, I think I'll talk about like the modules, how you can copy modules from one course to another, but also how you can copy the entire course, like once you've built your shell into another. So we'll talk about that next week. And then anything else. But all right, well, 3:33. Other people may join us as we go. We'll see. Okay, so today we're going to talk about, like I said, SpeedGrader, and we're going to do add a quiz. Those of you who I added as you were joining, did you all get the assignment submitted?
Not yet.
Not quite yet.
Accept. You have been invited as a student. Accept.
I was able to do the quiz, but the assignment said that it wouldn't allow me to do it.
Interesting. Did I have a quiz on there? Maybe I didn't think I had a quiz. I thought I just had an assignment.
Yeah, there was a quiz with 2 questions, and then the assignment says, we're sorry, but something went wrong.
No.
If you're the application owner, check the logs for more information.
Okay. Yeah, Karen, I didn't share it with you. I was just sharing it with a few people as they joined. The first people to join in got it. Hopefully I'll have enough to show you. If not, okay. That was your assignment for your homework for today. Karen, you didn't do your homework? But we'll check. If I don't have it, then maybe I can, I'll show you another one that I've got, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and start with, let me share my screen. Here we go, sharing. All right. So back today in our course shell, and we have all right, so I have added modules. We talked about adding assignments last time, and today I put in an assignment that was favorite color, and I want to grade these, but let's see if I'm going to be able to. So when you go into the assignment, again, I'm going to go back and show you how I did that again. So here's the assignment. I showed you how to add assignments last week. I'm going to go to favorite color. This is the assignment. Oh, nice. It's not even showing up for me. Refuse to connect. Next. Let's see if the problem is on my end why you all can't do it. What is your name? What is your favorite color? All right. Really weird. This may be part of the, they said there are problems sometimes with Google, so who knows if this is going to be one of those times. When you go in, you see SpeedGrader right here. And here are the people in the class, okay? Now, nobody has added anything because there's not like a little yellow dot. So I'm going to go to another class. I was going to try and do that with you all, but no biggie. I'm going to go back over here to this other class. I did have one thing that I was able to, okay, so here's an assignment, for example, that I put in, and this was a Google slide. And so I made that, and it makes a copy for each student. Last week, somebody asked me in an email, they said, when students submit, where are those saved? They are saved in the student's Google Drive. Okay, so unlike Google Classroom, which makes a folder for everybody, for every class, and for every assignment, makes, it organizes it all nice and neat. For these, it just puts it in the student's Google Drive. It makes a copy for them, but it saves it there. But you can see it and get to it through SpeedGrader. So here's SpeedGrader. It's right here on the right side. I just click it, and then up here at the top, it tells me, I'm going to have to move this little thingy out of the way. Move it down here. It tells me who the students are. So there's my one student, and the green box or the green check means that I have graded it. Okay. Otherwise, it would show me a little yellow dot. It would list all of the students. And it would be a yellow dot if they've submitted, a green check if they've submitted and I have graded it. And then it would be just blank, like test student is here, if they've done nothing at all. I can see over here, this is what Nick has done. He, you know, moved those things around. He put the red arrow here. But then what I'm able to do is I can just go down here and give the score. You know, it's out of 100, but I'm going to give a 5432 or 0.1 because when we pull it into IC, we want that to be the case. I can make comments down here, so I can say, not there yet. And when I hit submit, that goes to them. They see that comment. Another way that I can comment is I can go over here and there are some tools up here. I can put a dot somewhere and I can change the color of that dot. So I can put a dot there and then leave a comment that says, this one is blank. I could highlight if I want to say there, and then it allows me to put a comment for that one too. So not really. You can add text. You can make like a text box and say whatever you want to say. What were you thinking? Notice it's staying on the document there. And I can do strike throughs if I don't like what he's put. All of these tools that allows you to do different things. This will allow you to annotate an area so you can draw a box around it and say, this part really is pretty bad. You know, leave a comment there. Really missed the mark. And so on, okay? So those are those tools at the top of SpeedGrader. And then there's also over here in the upper left-hand corner, you've got the grade book, which will just take you straight over to see what the people, I'll show you what it looks like. These are the assignments and the points that he's gotten on that. SpeedGrader, oh no, those. I'm just gonna go back. This one, if you don't want everybody, so let's say you're grading essays and it's going to take you a while and you're not going to be able to get through them all at the same time, you can hide the grades, and so that way, as you're grading, the students aren't going to see that you're posting comments and putting information in there. So that's kind of handy if you don't want, you know, 2 students to see their grades before the rest of the class. You can hide them while you're grading them, and then once you've graded them all, then you can unhide them and post those, and everybody then sees them. Post them for everybody or just post them for the students that are graded, and then post. So that's handy. Also, if for some reason, there are some options. If for some reason you don't want to see the students' names while you're grading, maybe you want to make sure there's no bias there, you can click and it'll just show you student 1, student 2. It won't show you their names. So that's kind of handy too. All right, so that was really quick thing through SpeedGrader. Do you all have any questions on that? Wish that other had worked, the favorite color, just so you could see more people, but you kind of got the gist of it. But SpeedGrader, let's see. I think I showed you all the points there. All right. So if you all don't have any questions about SpeedGrader, that's the easy way to grade submitted assignments. And oh, I forgot to show you one thing to move to the next person. Up here, you can do it this way, you know, by clicking on this student and going down and selecting, but you can also just go to the next. Click the arrows and it'll take you to the next student and the next student and the next student. And you'll just keep going through, okay?
How does this work if we have something on Google Form like this?
A Google form is going to be different. So the Google form, you're going to go in and grade the form. So you just go into the form. That's not, Yeah, it's not going to work the same as like these things. These are more if they've submitted a document that you're going to read, like an essay or something, or even if it's a PowerPoint or a slideshow, a slide deck, you can go through. That example didn't show you very well because there was only one slide on that one, but you can go from slide to slide if it's a multi-slide, or page to page if it's multi-page document, to see the whole document while you're grading. But yeah, on a Google form, you're better off just to go into the form itself and grade that way, because those responses come into the form, or you can export them to the spreadsheet, but they won't be individual responses in this in Canvas. Does that make sense, Karen?
Yes, so just put it in the, you just click and put a number.
Okay, you were cutting out, so I'm not sure. Maybe type it. Oh, yes, so put the grade in after you check it, yes. Or, you can bypass Canvas for if the assignment is Google Form, you can bypass Canvas altogether for that one. I mean, you can make the assignment and put the link in Canvas, but when you're grading it, you can just go to Canvas and then just put that information in IC. But if you want to have that in your IC grade book, you can put the grade in the IC too. Although they won't really have a submission there, so I don't know how that would work. We'd have to play with that and see. Okay. And one thing that I didn't tell you all, or maybe I did, if you want to see what it looks like for a student, and you want to play around with it this summer especially, add a fellow teacher as a student, not as a teacher, but as a student maybe, and have them go in and take something and see if that works, if you can play around with it and see what works for that one. Does that make sense? So teachers can be students. They don't have to always be teachers. But if you want them to edit and add stuff, then they need to be added as a teacher. You can't be both, though. You can't be both a teacher and a student in a course. You have to be one or the other. You can't have dual roles. Okay, moving on. We're going to do, now we're going to look at the quizzes, how to add a quiz. Now, the quiz is kind of cool because it will allow you to, let me go back to the other course. It will allow you to build up your questions. So you can have a question bank, like Ben Herzog does this. He has Canvas class and he builds questions. He's put in hundreds of questions. And so when he is doing maybe a formative assessment, he'll add a couple of questions in from his previous units just to kind of make sure that the kids are still seeing that stuff, before they come to their final. So you can build a huge question bank. So now when we go in, here's what I did. I'm in the module, so I want to add a quiz here to Unit 2. So I go over here to the plus sign, and I'm going to click the plus sign, and I'm going to say I want to add a quiz. You can add a quiz other ways, and this is the quiz that I guess Angel said she saw earlier, and I'd forgotten that there was a quiz in there. It's hidden, though. It's not in one of those modules, so that's one that was added kind of the wrong way, but I'm going to add it. If you go to the module and add there, then it'll show up in the module. So it'll be where you want it to be. And it shows you here that it is adding to Unit 2, which was my module that I went to. So I'm going to add a quiz. I'm going to start with new quiz. I'm going to give it a name. This one is going to be color quiz. And then add the item. So here's my color quiz. It's not published yet, and I just put the shell on there, so it doesn't really have anything in it. So I have to click on it to go in and set all of this. Now, right now it's telling me that it's unpublished and only teachers can see it. I'm going to scroll down. Oh, I'm going to edit. That's what I'm going to do. Edit. And I can put, right here is where I'm going to put my directions, the instructions for the students. And these can be as detailed or as simple as you want. So you can just say, answer the questions, or you can put You can put like a YouTube video, you can put a hyperlink in here, you can put pictures, all kinds of stuff. Now down below you've got quiz settings. So I want it to be a graded quiz. It's going to automatically grade this quiz for me because I'm going to tell it what the correct answers are. And sync to Infinite Campus. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this today, but we can do that sync. So we'll talk about that later. Shuffle answers. You can't shuffle the questions in Canvas, I don't believe, but you can shuffle the answers. So if you have a multiple choice question, A, B, C, D, then you can, it will switch around what is A, B, C, or D if you check that box. If you don't check it, then they're always the same. If you want to put a time limit on students, you can check that and put how many ever minutes. Once they, let's say you put it as 15 minutes, if in 15 minutes they've answered all of the questions, or maybe not all, but one of the questions, and then they don't hit submit, then they get 0. None of the questions. So be careful with the time limit because they do have to submit within that time limit. You can allow multiple attempts. This is good if you are working on formative assessment, because when you allow the multiple attempts, you will be able to put some information in there too about like the correct answer or the wrong answer or what they did to get that wrong answer. Okay, how do you handle extra time for special ed kids? Well, Susan, if you're working with special ed kids, I wouldn't put the timer on there. Personally, I wouldn't put the timer on there with my students unless it was something where I just, you know, it was a maybe at the end of the class period or something, and I was doing a really quick check for understanding, and I wanted to make sure, you know, class was going to end, and I didn't want them spending a lot of time on it. Then I might, but you can. Yeah, I don't think one person can be exempt. So if it, you know, that's something that the teachers need to be aware of. It's either all or nothing for all the students or none of the students. And again, I mean, I don't know that I would do that, but, and I mean, if the students, I believe, see a little clock running. So if they know that they're going to get partial credit, if they submit, then they, you know, need to submit it in time. And then you could talk to the teachers about that. But let's see, Angela, is it acceptable to add one of our own personal children to test Student View? Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. You saw Nick Overstreet took my test last night. That was actually me using Nick Overstreet. I've got a Chromebook over here to the side that he's logged into so that I can add him to my class to test things out. So yeah, that's no problem. If they have a Fayette County account, I think they have to have a Fayette County account to do all of this stuff, but yeah. All right, other questions? Okay, we will go back to the quiz. All right, and so you can allow multiple attempts. And then down here, if this box is checked, and only this box, so let me uncheck this one, then students can see their quiz responses. And if they can see if they're wrong. They don't see what the correct answer is, so that again is good for formative assessments. You know, they can see they got it wrong. And if you're allowing multiple attempts, then they will be able to go back and take it again, but they won't necessarily have the correct answers right there with them. If you're only giving them one attempt to take it, then you might want to check one of these others too. Let them see the correct answers after they're finished. So that's up to you to decide. If you do say let them see the correct answers, then you can show it like on a specific date. You can hide them on a specific date. And you know, there are all these different options there. So you can choose what you want to do. This one is also good, I think, especially maybe for some students who have attention issues. You can show one question at a time. So on the page, if you have 10 questions, you can see all 10 questions, or you can just see the one question and then there's a button down at the bottom to go next. Now, if you check this second thing, then it won't allow them to go back and answer a previous question or change their answer. They will only be able to go to those questions in that order, you know, one at a time and not move back. So that's a second little I don't know that you would want that. You might be interested in that. I haven't done much with these quiz restrictions, so I can't really say much about those. They might come in handy if we're doing more online learning with our students or remote learning, but I haven't played with them. The assign, you can assign this quiz to everyone in your class, or you can assign it to just particular students who need the remediation, maybe if you're doing something like that. And then again, with the due dates and the available from, this, you know, again, is it will open it so that they can see it, and it will close it so that they can't see it. And so that might come in handy with a quiz, especially if you only want them to be able to take that quiz within a certain time frame. So once you've done all of that, you click save. You've got those settings, so you save, but we still haven't put any questions in. So I'm going to go back into the edit, and there's a tab right here for questions. So I click on that, and I've got new question. I'm going to add a new question. I'm going to start with a multiple choice. So this is, what color is the sky? And so then down below, I have these different, and I can add another answer. So there are 4, but if you want to put 5 or 6, you can. This says correct answer here, but if I don't want that, you know, if I want it to be, I want to put red, blue, green, and yellow, and I want blue to be the correct answer, then I just click here. So that little arrow that shows up, that's how you say that it's the correct answer. Now let's say that somebody, you're putting answers in, and one of these answers, you know what they've done wrong. So for example, in math, you know that they subtracted instead of added, or they forgot the order of operations. This little box here that's red, if you click on, and if you hover over it, it tells you click to enter comments for the students if they choose that answer. You can click in there and you can give them a hint that just says, remember, so the order of operations. And maybe that's all you say. And you might give them some hints on some others. You may, on the green one, you may want to say, great job, okay? And then you update that question. So there's the question. It has a 1-point value. You can, if you need to change it, go back in and change it. But that's your multiple choice question. There are other kinds of questions. So if I say new question, oh, and I just named that question, you want to make sure that these names are pretty descriptive, because like I said, you know, when Ben Herzog added a bunch of questions, he can go back and see which question he wants to add based on the name. So if you don't, if the name for all of these is just question, then you're not necessarily gonna, it's gonna be harder for you to figure out which ones you want to answer. So you might put, I don't know, for this one I'm gonna say grass, because this is my question about grass. And on this one, instead of multiple choice, I'm going to choose multiple answers. So what color is grass? And on this one, if they say green, I'm going to allow that. If they say brown, I'm going to allow that one. And if they say purple and chartreuse, why did I even start that? Let's just go back to yellow. Of course, there probably is yellow. Again, I can put my little red or green box to say good job, or try this, or think about that. You also have those boxes down here. So if they get the answer wrong, you can click and say, don't forget to use the order of operations, or you can put that for the whole answer instead of just for the individual answer. But on this one, I could choose multiple answers that were correct. So I'm going to update that one, and there's that question, and it's still updating. Ooh, it's taken a while. That's weird. I'll stop here and see if there are any questions. Does anybody have any questions? All right. I'm going to go back and show you, and we're almost done. All right. Come on. I'm going to add a new question. this time, this question is going to be, you've got these others. True and false is pretty self-explanatory. Fill in the blank is a good one. Let's say that we're going to have, what is Kim's favorite food? And possible answers are pizza. And notice there's no wrong. These are all possible answers. So, or possible correct answers. Maybe you only have one. Maybe they could put in 3 or 4 different ones. So I'm going to put all of the possible correct answers in there. And then update the question. So when they take the test, and I'm going to go show you what this looks like for the students. And then also there is, there are a lot of different ones you can try. Numerical answer is good for math and science. It's kind of like fill in the blank, but they can only have a number. So it's not something, if it's just a numerical answer, that's the one you would want to use. Formula question I've heard is really complicated, but if you want to give it a try, go for it. I'm sure I can find some videos for you. Essay questions will not grade themselves. You will have to, that will be the one question that will be held out for you to grade before they get a grade. And then, so there are just several different questions you can play with. The matching question is kind of interesting. So you want to say match these up. And so on the left side is grass. And over here we're going to say green. We're going to say sky. So you put the one that it goes with just to the left of it, and you can add more. They only show you 2, but you can add more. So we've got, I don't know, blood. That was nice. Anyway, so once you've got all of those, you can update the question. I'm going to go over here then and show you, let's save this and publish it. And I'm going to show you what this looks like for the students. So going to home, student view, here's my color quiz. And I'm going to take the quiz. All right, so what color is the sky? It is blue. And so I'm going next, and this one is like got one question per thing. Chicken, next. And then here is the matching. So I'm going to do grass is blue, the sky is green, and blood is red. And I'm going to submit the quiz. And so that's what it looks like. It's got my attempt. It shows me the question. It shows me my answer. And on this one, it shows me what's incorrect and what's partial. So partially correct there. Okay, so stop the share. Got some questions. Let's see. What about if the answer is a polynomial? I would probably go with the blank, the fill in the blank instead of the numerical, because I don't think the numerical will accept the letters. But try it and see. And there are some math teachers that have been using this and science teachers that might have a better answer for you there. How do you make your blank? Do you just put in a line or, oh, it'll show you the blank. Did you see that, Angela? Let me go back and show you on that what it looked like for the student, if I can take it again. It just had a blank. What is Kim's favorite food? So it's not really a blank in the middle of the sentence. Does that make sense? It's more of a, you know, the blank down here on the bottom. And you could, though, if you're typing the question and you want it to be a blank, you just put the underlines, and then down below they'll have a box to write their answer in, okay? So you could put the blank in the middle of it. Comparing to Google, are all questions required for it to be submitted? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, Angel. I think they can skip some to answer, but I'm not certain about that. But I would test it and see, you know, but I think they can skip. What is the text, no questions, that last one? I haven't done that one. Karen. So I would have to play with it and see. Maybe if you have a test, like a paper copy of a test, and they're just putting their answers in, but honestly, I don't know. And there are a lot of online resources. I can look some of those up and get that information to you. But I've used this, but not so much. And mostly what I've used it for is multiple choice questions to make it look like the ACT. So I haven't had a whole lot of experience with those other question types. Anybody else have any questions? Let's see. Yeah, that's all I've got on the list for today. And we're at 4:03. So if y'all don't have any questions, I guess we'll see you next week. And like I said, next week we'll talk about copying modules from one course to another, and also copying the entire course. And I'll look and see if there's maybe some other stuff that we can do. Okay? All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. See you all.